Did you see the guy in Pennsylvania who got busted using a drone?
No.
So I just watched a YouTube video on this, and it was on some drone recovery podcast. This guy in Pennsylvania started a drone recovery company. Now, you know how I feel about drones, but still the law's the law, whether you're breaking it or you're not. And this guy, he studied the laws, looked them all up, figured out what he could do, what he couldn't do. I guess you cannot, you can fly over public land, but you can't land on it or fly from it. But there's some federal properties you can. Otherwise, you have to be on private with a drone. And in Pennsylvania, they highly recommend that you, if you're going to do a business out of something or whatever, that you go over it with a lawyer, the laws. So he did that. He hired a lawyer to go over the laws with him for the drones. He built a sheet up that if you called him for recovery, you had to go over this thing and check box things like whether you're doing things legal and stuff, what kind of property it was and stuff. And at the end, you had to sign off on it, right? So he does an ad, and a warden calls him and says, "Hey, did you run this ad?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "That's illegal." He goes, "What's illegal?" He says, "Searching with a drone for deer." And he goes, "Cite the law." And he goes, "Well, I can't think of it offhand, but it's illegal to use a drone." And he goes, "No, I kind of looked up all these laws. I couldn't find any law on it." He says, "And then I called an attorney, as you guys recommended." He says, "And I called the DNR beforehand, and I asked them the laws on it." And he says, "And they gave me the laws." And he says, "I'm following the laws." And he goes, "Well, I believe it's illegal." And he says, "Well, can you cite the law?" He says, "No." He goes, "I called my attorney," and he says that. He goes, "Well, give me the attorney's number, and I'll call him and talk to him about it." He goes, "Okay." So he gives him the attorney's number, and he never hears from this guy again. And 6 months goes by, and he gets a call from a guy. And the guy says, "Hey, can you do a recovery for me?" He says, "I shot this deer with my son." He goes, "And we were gun hunting." He goes, "And I'm pretty sure I killed it, but I can't find it. I got a lot of blood. I got some hair." And he says, "Okay." He asks him the details, where he is and stuff. He makes sure that's within the laws. He goes and meets this guy, and they discuss it. He has him read this thing. He makes him sign it. And then he takes his drone and he flies over, and he's looking for this deer.